Do a little potpourri at the top, 5 o'clock. But let me do this on the table right now. The networks, with all the money that they spend on televising NFL games specifically, college to a degree, but mostly NFL. Fox with the Thursday night, ESPN with the Monday night and everything else. They try so hard to find the right connection in the broadcast booth that they make a mess of it. Now, the great crews who do sports, they're almost organic. Whether it be, Merlin Olsen and Enberg, Madden and Summerall, Enberg, Packer, and Al McGuire came out of nowhere. They're almost organic. It kind of just happens. They spotted McGuire doing, commenting early on when he retired in '78 from the coach's office during games, and Billy Packer said, let's put him in the booth. Madden was doing games with all sorts of broadcasters. Nobody knew that much about him. All of a sudden, they stuck him with Summerall, and Madden took off in the age of, when the NFL really flew. Merlin Olsen, Little House on the Prairie, all the shows he did. Here comes the great, everybody's favorite. How could you not like Merlin Olsen with Enberg in the 70s and 80s did its thing. Yeah, that is the great crews. I mean, the great crews are kind of, I don't know. I mean, it's the weirdest thing. I don't think you sit there and audition 9,000 guys. Go to the guy who is on the Dallas Cowboys, or go track down and try to woo Peyton Manning for the 9 millionth time to your broadcast booth. Well, we have to create buzz. But no broadcasting crew is going to create buzz. I mean, that just kind of happens. You're a great broadcaster. The team works. It's fun. You got a goofy guy, Uncle Charlie, there as the analyst, as McGuire was to a certain degree, as Madden was. Different. These are historic broadcasters. Jason Witten is not going to be an historic broadcaster. I know a lot of people at CBS think Tony Romo is on that level. No, he's not. He's not an historic broadcaster. And ESPN now today makes the announcement. I don't know if they made the announcement or if he just retired from the Cowboys. I'm not too sure if they did make the announcement.
Everything happened.
Okay, so everything happened today where, in fact, Witten, I don't know how many years did he get with ESPN? Was that announced, Eddie? Or was it just a one-year deal? Whatever the case. I mean, you knew they wanted to go Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys are America's team. They're the, obviously the helmet, the star, the city, everything about Dallas. There's a million Cowboy fans. That name is magical. Witten's been around forever. Now, he's a tight end who I don't ever think was known for, being outlandish or being different. McGuire was always quirky. Madden, nobody really thought Madden was going to be great either, but McGuire was always quirky. I don't think Bruce Arians would have been a great broadcaster. I don't think Arians has the presence. He didn't do enough. He's older. He's not hip with the young audience. He never made it sound like to me that a soundbite was going to be, very attractive. I always thought it was a little dull. I think in this particular case, what ESPN did, they got rid of McDonough. Gruden left them. They got rid of McDonough. They wanted to do something different, reinvent the wheel, figure out a way to return a little magic to that Monday night booth. Well, Joe Tessitore and Jason Witten are not going to do that. I'm just sorry. It's not going to happen. Witten is walking into a tricky spot. Monday Night Football. Is he going to... I don't know. You're going to reinvent the wheel? Very difficult. And I think the point I'm trying to make is that too many, with all the money that they spend, and they overspend for everything. And you see the same thing going on with the NBA. I mean, with the pregame shows, Jalen Rose, they've gone through 1 million guys with the pregame shows. Now, Van Gundy, Jackson, and Breen have, they're good. It's a good crew. Van Gundy is funny. Jackson's got his wackyisms where, he's pretty theatrical. I mean, he is a minister. And Breen's a rock-solid play-by-play guy. So there's a little something going on there with the three of them where they do a good job. The problem with it is the NBA, it's very difficult to distinguish yourself in the NBA. Not enough people watch the regular season games. They break up that crew a lot. It's really only in the final where you really see them, and the Western Conference or Eastern Conference final. It's not quite the same. Football is where college basketball in the NCAA tournament in the old days, that's a little different. That's the 1970s now. The NFL is where you really make your mark as far as that great play-by-play team. you saw baseball try to reinvent the wheel with Harold Reynolds, Verducci, and after McCarver left, and Buck. That didn't, for whatever the reason, never really connected. They went they went sort of a safer choice with Smoltz, and he does a good job. So it's very too many of these networks who have spent a fortune have tried to find that key to come up with a broadcasting crew where you're going to listen to the broadcasters no matter what the game is. And the days of Monday Night Football with Cosell, Meredith, and Gifford, the days of an NCAA Final Four with McGuire, Packer, and Emberg, even to a certain degree, Sunday afternoon football with Gowdy and DeRogatis, and Merlin with Dick Enberg at the Alameda Coliseum with the Chiefs, Madden and Summerall. I mean, those days are past. You're not coming up with that kind of team anymore. You're just not doing it, And so what they do is they try to go out there and convince the big-time quarterback to become a broadcaster. They have spent, Fox, everybody has spent a fortune and a lot of time of trying to figure out a way to get Peyton Manning into the broadcast booth, and Manning don't want to do it. I don't think Manning, I think Manning wants to be Elway. He doesn't want to do it. So, he kind of indicates that he might be interested. So everybody holds out for dear life. He says no, and then they're back to the drawing board. Fox has not announced their Thursday night team yet of who that broadcasting crew is going to be. And, it took ESPN, the season ended in December for them. It took ESPN, January 3rd. It's taken ESPN essentially 5 months to come up with who their team is going to be. And I'm telling you something right now, Fox is not going to find that team on Thursday night that's going to move the needle, and they are not going to be able to move the needle with Tessitore and Witten on Monday night. Not going to happen. We'll concentrate. Well, listen, I don't know. It's just the era has passed where you are going to find that magnetism in a broadcast booth. It's just not going to happen anymore for whatever the reason. There's too many games. They're all on television. There's so many other ways people get their football, get their sports. They don't get them. A lot of people watch their games on the phone. They're doing something else. They look for scores. I mean, they don't watch the games like we did in the old days, the young kids. I asked my 15-year-old Colin, "Who's your favorite boy?" He don't know who half these guys are. He couldn't tell you the number one team on CBS. He couldn't tell you the number one team. He wouldn't know that. He wouldn't know Joe Tessitore fell on him. He wouldn't know. So in my day, when I was a kid at 16, 18 years of age, I loved the announcers. I mean, I loved Marv doing Nick games. I loved Enberg. Loved him. Oh God, I would die to listen to Enberg do a game with Packer and McGuire or with Merlin Olsen. Die in his 70s. Gowdy, die. And Kubek, die. Those days are long past. So the ESPN trying to make a big splash, and they've been trying to make a big splash since they put Boomer in with Michaels on Sunday night. I mean, this stuff doesn't work anymore. Find a broadcasting team that you think is going to be solid. Don't overpay. Don't try to make a big deal about it. Let them do the games, and let's see if, the chemistry develops. Give them some time. Don't go in with a ton of expectations, and realize that in 2017 or 2018, nobody's sitting there watching the ball games for the broadcasters. That's the way you do it. And I don't think Witten's not a very inspiring hire. Now, I didn't like Romo either. And, I don't want to say I've been proved wrong, but Romo had according to CBS, and most fans and social media, which I don't pay attention to anyway, but most people think Romo had a pretty good year. I don't look at it that way. I mean, Sims got a little, long in the tooth, did it for a long time. Let's get a fresh voice in there. Let's bring the Cowboy quarterback in, and there you go. And so, since CBS was successful with Romo, with a Cowboy, let's go out there and go the Cowboy route again, and let's offer Witten a big deal he can't refuse. We got $4.5 million, and let's have him go be the broadcaster. Now, Witten hasn't broadcast a game in his life. Witten's going to go out there and he's going to start knocking people left and right. He's going to have that kind of personality that's going to draw people to the sets. A, I don't know if that guy exists, and B, I just don't know in this era of broadcasting, 21st century, if that is doable anymore, to be quite honest with you. 13 after the hour, we continue. Mad Dog.